Okay, guys. So we're here this morning just to touch base with you guys, trying to brush up on your elevator knowledge and skills as far as getting people out of entrapments. Basically, I wanted to start by asking you guys who's actually done entrapment calls and how they've gone about getting the passengers out of the elevators. And that way I can kind of take how you guys, your protocols, and we try and brush up, and I can give you some pointers and try and make it a little bit safer for you guys and safer for the victims that are in the elevators. So let's just go around the room real quick and see how you guys have handled it. Other than using the key to open the doors, let me ask you this. Let's start by this. 9 times out of 10 when you guys pull the key in and you open the doors, is the elevator level at the floor?
No.
Within a couple feet?
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
So what is your judgment call or your protocol for how far out of floor level that you guys are going to attempt to take a passenger out of that elevator? No protocol. Yeah, I understand that. We'll leave that up to
You
Cam.
might have a protocol that says.
Okay. So, I mean, if you have a 24-inch window, you pop that door, are you going to try and pull them out of that 24-inch window?
I'm sure it's been done.
What I want to say is that I think it's highly unsafe, and the possibility of the equipment chopping somebody in half is very real. If that, like I had told you guys when we walked in there, every single door has a safety door lock. Now that door lock necessarily doesn't mean that it operates. In the state of Ohio, we're not required to have maintenance done on the elevators. True fact. In the state of Michigan, maintenance has to be done on every elevator quarterly. So in the state of Ohio, there's legislation out there to have it done, but right now it doesn't currently exist. So it's possible that nobody has done any maintenance on an elevator that you've been doing a rescue on in years. So that being said, it's not necessarily safe. So what I want to tell you guys and ingrain in your heads is that you need to isolate the equipment. But isolating the equipment electrically doesn't necessarily isolate the equipment, because we have mechanical features that hydraulics, brakes and stuff, that even with the power off, the elevator can still move. So basically it's a judgment call and assessment on your part, assessing the situation. And not having the knowledge, that's why we're here to try and give you a little bit of that knowledge. So I don't know that there can be a written protocol to say, okay, I've got 24 inches here, we can go after it, or 4 feet or something. I think you just use your judgment call at some point. Have any of you guys accessed the car top and rescued out of the car top, out of the escape hatch?
No.
Okay. So the escape hatches are there for that very reason. It can be somewhat more safe if we're dealing with a smaller window through the entrance of the elevator, to maybe go through the top with a ladder to get them, as long as the equipment's isolated. And I mean, that is obviously your call and your safety officer's call as far as how deep you want to get into the equipment of the elevator. I mean, you're putting yourself at risk at any point anyways, but it's just a matter of putting the victim at risk. What kind of degree you want to put the victim at risk. So I think what we should probably do is try and set up like you want to set up like a rescue type situation?
Absolutely, that'd be great.
Okay, let me try and stage the elevator. Let's real quick. So we've all brushed up on that. Let's go through the equipment room.
Great.
Let's start there so I can show you how to isolate the equipment and how maybe we may be able to move the elevator and get it at a different location, a safer location, so to speak. So this elevator here is a hydraulic elevator, like I had said before, but it's also a roped hydraulic in this sense that it has cables and it has hydraulics. The hydraulics run pistons outside the perimeters of the car. Has cables that come over and then gets the car. Now, if for some reason the cables get hung up or the hydraulics get hung up and those cables slack, there's safeties that set the safeties mechanically, but obviously it's a stored bomb. If something becomes released, it can just drop, just like a rate of traction type elevator that would run on cables. So this one's kind of a different monster. We do have quite a few of these downtown that you guys might run into. So I just want to kind of brush up on the equipment and let you know that it's kind of a two-headed monster here. So let me take you into the machine room. It's a hydraulic elevator. As I stated before, most elevators that are put in now, well, probably from 2000 to now, the layout of the machine room equipment is all going to be the same. The disconnects are mandated to be right next to the door so that if there's any kind of problems inside the machine room as far as fire, you can get in, reach it, isolate the equipment just by pulling the hook. And now your equipment is down. But like I stated before, having it's hydraulic, you still have the hydraulics, if there's a leak in the hydraulic system, the car can still go in the down direction, not the up, but it can go in the down direction. I mean, it's an isolated chance, but it's still a chance, and it's something you got to think of at all times. In all the hydraulic elevators, there's also a valve in there that controls the hydraulics of the elevator. Now, if for some reason we come in on to doing an entrapment and the car's high, say it's really high, and you can only see 2 foot of this opening to get a passenger out, there is a manual release valve on the hydraulic valve that'll slowly lower that and get it to a point where you can safely remove the victim and not put anybody at risk, just as long as we keep everybody clear. And you guys all have radios, and you can contact each other, assessing the situation and moving it if you have to. I don't know if you guys get into that situation, but it could certainly make it a whole lot safer for you guys.
Could you release it all the way down to the ground floor?
You could, and if you, I mean, you could hold it and release it all the way down to the ground floor, and that's going to release any kind of energy that would ever be possible. Hydraulic elevators typically don't go any higher than 6 floors. It could take 5-10 minutes at a slow rate and manual lowering to get it all the way down. But if that's what you assess as the safest way to get them out, then you might as well do it that way.
So it's very rare that we have someone really not breathing or anything else. Most of the time they're just anxious and want to get out.
Sure, yeah, and that's what we experience too. And 9 times out of 10, when I come on an entrapment, I just go to the machine room, and I could probably try and fix and get the elevator running, and then level it and they get out. I never have to see them. So I never have to see a screaming face or anybody yelling at me because the elevator stopped. Let me give you just an overview of the equipment. So like I had said before, the hydraulic tank units, they're a little bit different from job to job. Equipment's different, but most of everything today is set up somewhat like this. This is a submersible tank unit, so the pump in the tank is in the tank. The motor's in the tank. Some of them are a dry unit, so there's just a tank and then there's a motor and stuff. But the valve will always look similar. You'll see the line coming in and the line going out. So this is what hydraulically controls the elevator. On every one of these valves, there's a manual release. It's usually indicated by a red knob, but on other times there'll be a T handle, and it'll say manual lowering. Manual lowering is always what it will say. That is consistency across all hydraulic valves. That manual lowering, when it's pressed, you can hear will lower the power. That manual lowering valve will work with the power isolated. So if there's ever a situation in which you would ever have to do that, turn the power off and then manual lower the car. Because as you can hear, if I manual lower the car, it's going to level it back up with power on. So the way to isolate is turn off, and then you can lower it and it won't move. You'll have total control of the car. Sometimes, and maybe to save yourself from having to do any kind of rescue, sometimes if you can gain access to the machine room, if you could simply just turn off power and turn it on and put a call in and see if it'll reset itself. A lot of today's systems are very redundant in their safety circuits, and if you sneeze wrong at them, it'll shut it down. And if you can just do a power reset, it'll bring it back up, and you won't even have to use the key to open it up. It may just level in and let the passenger out and make your life a whole lot easier.